Hello, I'm Jane Davies and I'm here at the NEC. I'm a textile artist and I love to travel and to see how other people practice their crafts around the world. And in India, as you know, people have less money and less equipment to do things, and they have a very simple way of cutting and folding and applying their fabrics to make all sorts of items. And I want to show you how to do this little flower panel here. You start off very simply with a piece of fabric and your centre flower, which is a square. And I'm going to fold that square in half, fold it again, and I'm going to cut out a very rough circle. There's no measuring, there's no templates, there's no freezer paper, it's just fold and cut. Save the pieces, you might want those later for doing something else. So then you will have a very rough circle. So you fold that in half, fold it into three. So you have a sort of ice cream cone. And then you're going to cut down the folds, not quite to the centre. Cut down any of the folds, but not quite to the centre. So stop before you get to the middle. And if you've done it correctly, you should open it up to make a flower shape. And you put that onto your fabric. So that is going to be the central flower. Pin that in place in the middle. As you can see, I had no template to do that with, I just folded it and cut. And then what you're going to do is you're going to fold under the edges to neaten them off and sew them down. Here's one I started earlier. On each of the little petals, you fold the side and finger press. You fold once, you fold twice, and then you fold down the other side to make your petal shape. Once you've folded, or you can do them one at a time, you then, with matching cotton, slip stitch in place. And it's a very small stitch, quite easy to do. It's nice not to have to take the sewing machine out. You can do all of this technique by hand. So all the fabric is folded underneath, and if you get to a little piece, you just tuck it underneath and slip stitch in place. So you stitch all around the circle, as I have done in this one here. Once you've stitched all around the circle, you can start to do the border. And the border again is very simple. On this one I have cut out a strip of fabric quite simply and folded it in half and ironed it. And that's going to be my inner border. So I have 4 strips, one for the top and the bottom, and 2 for the sides. And then what you do is you pin those in place, and again slip stitch those as you did for the flower in the middle. So those have been slip stitched in place, and then all you do is you keep adding more strips on to make it wider and to make it bigger. So my next piece is going to be the red piece here. So here I have a rectangle, a strip of fabric, but I have ironed a little hem to neaten that fabric off. So that piece is then put on top on that side. We have a piece for this side, leaving just a very narrow border. And we have one for the bottom. Somewhere we have one for the top. Sorry, dropped it on the floor. I need to move those in a little bit, but you get the idea. And then I just keep on adding more and more pieces to make up the square. And these are just, as they started off in the middle, these are just lengths of fabric which I have ironed a hem to neaten, and those go around the outside. I've dropped them on the floor. Each time you put a piece on, you slip stitch in place, and you'll find that it grows quite quickly, even though it is a hand technique. So once you've done all the fabric applique, then if you wish, you can do some added detail by doing some hand embroidery. I've added chain stitch, meandering around, running stitch, and I've added some of the shisha glass, the Indian mirror glass, in place as well. But I've also used some of my scraps that I cut off earlier. I've made a little sort of pin cushion, as it were, there, and I've put the scraps inside and I've sewn that on to make a little decorative piece there. When you want to finish your little panel, all you have to do is to turn over the background once, twice, and then you can either slip stitch it down by hand, or you can sew it by machine. So you can see it's a very quick, a very easy way of making an applique panel the Indian way.